Bubble.
Hello. Hey, Bubble.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to another Lost the Plot video. This is a start of a series that we are going to be doing continuously throughout the year and probably years to come as well. And this is our best of series. And I know we incorporate this into various discussion topics anyway, but we're going to try and condense it down to a shorter format in order to share our points and for you to enjoy as well. Okay, and it's this idea of condensing it, making it more accessible for you guys and making it shorter for us as well. Just trying to get into the habit of shortening our points so we're not rambling on, which we all do.
More than us.
Yeah. Don't know what you're talking about, Tom. So
you wish I shut up on the trilogy with you.
Oh, right. James' unpopular opinion. Let's start with that, shall we? Like we always do.
Encanto's shit, isn't it?
Heavy.
As are the songs.
Heavy.
Oh, whoa.
You draw them a lot.
I was fine with saying Encanto's shit, but the songs... Oh, right, yeah, there's a fair few that are bad, but the...
Pretty shit.
Bruno? No. No, it isn't.
No.
The actual meaning behind it. I'm going to go into detail now. Right, strap in, gentlemen.
Go on.
So the family's called Madrigal, yes? Not like you paid that much attention. So yes, it is. But a madrigal in music is where various different people sing over each other to create this choral song, which actually sounds beautiful. It's nice, and it's exactly what they've done there. It's beautiful. Okay. Everyone has their own little bit to create their own madrigal for the Madrigal family.
That's nice.
It's beautiful.
You're putting some effort into
Yeah, I am. I've researched this, not knowing what your opinion is going to be, by the way, but I've just researched it anyway.
Thought, oh, you know what? I'll throw this one in today.
No, I'm sorry, I'm not having that. I will back that song.
Yeah, what about when they're trying to... What was that bloody word? Is it foundation or something?
It's
and they're
generation in the first one.
Right,
I think it's foundation in the last one because they're basically the same song, but they're just sort of like done differently to sort of bookend.
They're trying to fit that word into a space,
but
which is like trying to fit a size 10 foot into a size 6 shoe. Doesn't work.
Love that analogy.
It's just like, that word does not fit. There's too many syllables. Stop it. You're ruining the metre.
Okay. Well, other than those two, songs aren't bad at all.
They are because they're just drag. Oh, they're horrible. They've got nothing fun about them.
To any of them. I've only heard
Save
on
yourself.
the radio, so
Save
What
yourself.
have you heard on the radio?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you what
Sing
they're
it.
called.
Sing it for us.
Exactly. There you go. There's a point. I can tell you.
Strap yourselves in for Matt's rendition of...
What's it called?
I don't know. Right, on with the video, which is sort of fitting actually, because today's video, our first best of series, because quite a lot of our videos have been related to superheroes or some sort of action or thrillers or fantasy, we thought we'd mix it up a little bit and go completely different to what we normally talk about. So we're going to talk about our favourite Disney film. And yes, we do mean Pixar as well, Disney Pixar. We're not just talking about old-fashioned Disney films, we're talking about Pixar as well. So, let's start off. Remember, this is a shorter video, gentlemen. Condense our points. Matthew.
Yes.
I'll probably normally start off with you quite a lot, but let's go again.
Yeah. Mine is The Incredibles.
The first one, yeah?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, thank Christ for that. That second one was the biggest waste of time of my life.
Oh, it was the biggest disappointment for me going into that after looking at the first one.
Oh, God.
But yeah, no, it's always been my favourite film kids film as a kid. It's not even just a kids film, to be honest. It's got adult humour. It's got adult
genius.
It's
one of my favourite superhero films.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's not even seen as a kids film. It's just such a feel-good, action-packed, great storytelling, great villain. It's like a... I know you literally just said we're trying to move away from superhero films. And I'm coming with a superhero
Hey,
film.
they did a great base for Iron Man 3, didn't it? Really, when you look at the storyline with the villain. It's all the same. Syndrome. What's his face? Starts off as a nerdy bloke that idolises him and then just becomes this bloody arch nemesis.
Probably one called Syndrome of Bloat. When he
you know what I mean.
was about 5,
Yeah.
or whatever age he was, flying about. Look at me up and out.
Because it is essentially...
No, I agree.
But yeah, use the same plot line, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think because they're superheroes, but they live in a world where they're banned, aren't they? So they've got to have normal jobs, and you don't see this very often with that type of genre where they have to live a normal life and hide their true identity, otherwise.
Which seems like a given with that, well, say genre, but like any kind of superhero story, you think that's almost like a cliche, but then it's not actually been represented quite a lot.
Yeah, and you get to see your family point of view from it, and then how little decisions that the parents make affect their kids in these sort of scenarios, and it's kind of relatable in that way. So it doesn't feel like a too blown out, different type of sci-fi type of completely different genre type of film.
I was going to say, it's nice to see the family aspect of it, and they're building as a family, because obviously it's a time where superheroes are banned, but the children have only ever known a time like that. Yeah. So they're working a way to hide their powers, but they want to use them. Yeah. It is a really good story.
Yeah, they're like confused as to why they can't just do what they.
Exactly.
If you're a kid and you've got the ability to, like, basically the Flash's ability, you're not going to want to hide that. You're going to want to use it as much as possible. And you see it in like some of his classes where he does, and it's just there's just aspects of that would happen in real life if that was the case. The kid to have that ability.
Yeah, it's like what we were saying with like whether it's fantasy, sci-fi, whatever. You get that importance of realism, because so many people brush off these like classical movies and just going like, oh, it's just meant to be stupid, it's meant to be daft. But you've got something like this, you dose in that reality, it makes it more believable. The same way you've got a movie that's depicting quite bleak reality, you throw in that sort of fantasy, even if it's just the most subtle version where it's just characters that are a bit too larger than life. They're not actually that realistic. It's an easy way to be invested in that.
Yeah, it's funny as well. It's one of the it's one of the funniest animated films I think I've seen, and it's not trying too hard to be either.
I was just about to say, it doesn't try too hard to be that, because it knows that it's not. That's not the main focus of it, to be funny. Yeah, it's a Disney film, so it will have some humour in it, but it doesn't try too hard to be funny.
It's got such a serious thing at the same time as well.
Yeah,
it's such a serious
It doesn't pander to the fact that it's mainly going to be kids watching.
That's what I mean. Yeah, it's not like a lot of those Disney sort of things that maybe, I don't know, maybe they do, because especially the Pixar films, are always quite different, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
But that one, I would just remember distinctly again watching that in the cinema as a kid, and it being like, it just had that different feel to it.
Yeah.
Because it had that sort of gravity to it, where it's like there's that serious undertone to it all. You got all the daft humour and stuff. I mean, that's what makes it a great sort of movie for everyone, I suppose, doesn't it? Because it literally covers everything.
Yeah.
Genius.
Matt, what a film! Great start. I like this. Tom, what you got for us? What's in the locker?
I love most of what Pixar do, or at least what they seem to be about.
Mm.
And they push a kind of lot of ideas, but I think I was trying to not necessarily put myself out of that realm, but it's just the one that was just right in my head, and I just would feel bad if I didn't mention it. But Tangled is
Alice and Eleanor are going to love you.
I had to sort of go down the route of the Disney princess film, just in terms of the fact that so many have either been disappointing or overhyped, and then even in terms of a lot of the newer ones, where they're trying, but they're really trying to go in different directions.
Mm.
This was taking such a almost predictable, stereotypical Disney princess movie.
Yeah.
So they weren't trying to hide the fact that that's what it was.
Yeah.
And still did everything they did in that film. And it ticks all those boxes where a lot of the time I'm usually maybe moaning about some of the songs. You take something that again was overhyped. I'm not going to talk about it because I could talk about it for too long. Frozen, I deeply dislike. But you take the songs from that, falling so flat, regardless of how successful they were. Whereas the songs in Tangled, not only do they matter and are actually part of the story, they also don't rely on them. There's a lot more to it, but it's so active. Like everything is constantly moving. Nothing's wasted or overdone, or there's a particular word I'm looking for, but it's lost to me. But it's there's nothing that's just this sort of like superficial front of just this is going to be attractive for like the minute that you're watching it.
Yeah.
And it's then going to sell like loads of money. And yeah, just the amount they pack into that film is ridiculous.
I like Tangled, I think it's one of my favourite.
I mean,
Disney princess sort of thing. I say Disney princess.
Yeah.
She's not the stereotypical
I was just going to say,
princess, is she?
Yeah, it doesn't follow that same.
That's what I
Yeah,
agree.
it was a nice.
Good about it.
Yeah, it was a nice change. It was refreshing to see this Disney princess that's not just looking for love or looking for a man. Obviously, yeah, there is that
But it happens,
encapsulated in it.
They're not scared of that.
Yeah,
And like they accept what is natural to what that story is.
yeah, but it's not. That's not the main story.
There you go. And that's why I think, especially where like I'm not bothered. It's not something I seek out or anything, but say like romance stories in general. That's why, they've sort of fallen out of favour because people just think there's one way to do it.
You say that, but a lot of the best films ever released has romance in it.
And it's
some
this,
sort
this
of
whole
romance,
aspect
but it's
of
not
it being
forced.
either relatable, whether you could literally have no romantic feelings whatsoever, you could not relate to that whatsoever, but having that, if there wasn't that in any of these movies that you were just obviously referring to, but particularly in a movie like this, would instantly make it less believable and less immersive than it was.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to sort of fall on my main point, just the visual aspect of it. I think a lot of people just have this sort of assumption, which is fair because they have their own sort of like consistency, but that Disney just have this style of like their animation and the way they'll depict certain people, but Tangled stands out to me where they really sort of stepped up, but it's so much its own thing while still being at the core recognisable as Disney animation.
Yeah.
And then again, I will compare it to Frozen because it's a similar sort of time, and that got all the attention. Frozen, like even the people, they all looked like they were a different bloody species even.
Yeah.
But yeah, best. Frozen's terrible, best is Tangled.
Nice, like that. To be fair, two good films. I really like Tangled. Incredibles is brilliant. James?
Can I just start off with making an honourable mention?
Yeah, I'm making two, so go for it.
Because, again, it came out the same year that Frozen was released, and it was completely overlooked, and it's borderline masterpiece. Big Hero 6.
Never watched it.
Oh mate, sort it out.
I need to. I don't know.
It's brilliant.
It is good. I've only watched it once, but
yeah. Similar sort of thing with Incredibles. It felt, obviously, because they were going for that superhero thing, it did feel a lot different, obviously, especially when you put it against the same year that they released Frozen. But yeah, just all the characters and everything, you actually, each one, even though like some of them don't have a massive part or something, because it's like a little group of them, obviously, they've all got bring their own little nice little bit to it, and each one of them's got their own cool thing. I don't know. It's just such a fun movie. Kicks you in the dick at the beginning.
I've not watched it. So I'm sorry.
Max is such a good character in it.
Exactly.
You just can't not.
That has just daft naivety they create with it.
And they are. They've got the series Baymax coming out.
Oh god, yeah. They're actually doing an extra thing now.
I need to watch it.
And it does seem like it's going to be the same sort of vein as the movie.
So yeah,
Honourable mention,
watch
Big
that.
Hero 6, nice. What is the creme de la creme for you?
After thinking it through properly, I'm going to have to settle with Monsters Inc.
Oh, good film.
Because,
Yes.
again, that is just one of those films you can watch. How can you not watch that film and not be happy after watching it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's such a feel-good film
It just
throughout, isn't it?
does everything on it. And I mean, like, the effort that went into that at the time, I remember just that being such a big thing because the way they animated Sully's hair, like every single bit that moved.
Yeah.
The effort that went into that is ridiculous.
It makes it iconic in a way, doesn't it?
Yeah, it just felt like a big step up. Obviously, they'd done Toy Story and all that at that point, and that was such a big step. But then this really did feel like they'd gone all out again, and it really felt like that point where they were levelling up every time. So yeah, just everything about that film is amazing. The comedy side is just brilliant. It's not. It's just. It's still funny. It's not like it's just aged badly or anything.
Yeah.
They nailed that completely. How can you not love it, man?
No, I agree.
Those characters as well. I mean, just Sully as a character visually, there's so much going on.
Yeah.
Like every single, there's not like the same monster anywhere, is there?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? The effort like into the design of all that. I love it.
Particularly
It's such a cool idea for a story as well. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, just because you mentioned the visuals, like particularly with Pixar, like
Yeah.
that's what stands out. It's like it stood apart, not just because it's almost like leveled up, but there was a style to it. And yeah, there's obviously been other recognisable examples, but that was such a moment.
Yeah.
The relationship between Sully and Boo as well.
I was
the way
going
they
to
built
mention that. It's so
It
good.
reminds me of the relationship between something like The Mandalorian and Grogu.
Well, yeah, they're doing the same sort of
I
thing.
mean, it's
aren't
just
they?
so successful, that formula, and it's one of the. Well, I don't know. It's probably not the first. I don't know. But it's one of the first.
Called it on so many.
But it's nice. It's nice to see a big, scary, strong, imposing character seem so vulnerable.
That's what I was just going to say about
and
it.
seem so delicate and gentle.
The concept of the plot coming from kids being scared of these monsters and stuff at night.
Yeah, and it should be
And
the
then
other way around.
Exactly, yeah. The fact they flip that on the head, because then, like, as a kid watching that, then these ideas don't become scary all of a sudden. It's so clever in the way they do it,
Yeah.
without you even realising. So yeah, I don't know. Monsters Inc. That's a shout out for you, Hayley Butell. Thank you.
Love that.
All right, there you go.
Right. I've got two shout outs.
Ooh.
One for my granddad. May he rest in peace. If he was sat here, Lady and the Tramp, by an absolute mile. A beautiful story of love and acceptance and just... I don't know. Watching it, I remember sitting there as a kid all the time, just when he put it on and watching
Was it
it.
with grandparents and those old films?
Yeah,
Like every time
it's-
we're around Nana's, it's just like whack a different Disney.
But it's,
film like
I
that.
mean, it's such a good film, to be honest. I really enjoy it. I mean, it's not up there in my favourites. I probably don't appreciate it as much as I probably should. But yeah, and then Alice killed me if I didn't mention Alice loving the Lion King and how iconic that was when it was released. I'm quite surprised that none of
thought one of
us
us was
mentioned
gonna say
it.
that
Yeah, because absolutely stupendous film. But mine is another Pixar, and it's Cars. I absolutely fell in love with that film. The moment I watched it, I remember going to London and buying the remote control Lightning McQueen, remote control Mater, and it's incredible. I'm just going to list everything. Right, Lightning McQueen, the main character, Owen Wilson plays him brilliantly, brilliantly, and this character development throughout that first film. Forget the second and third. Don't care for them. But the first film is character development so brilliant and so beautiful because it sort of goes in with the messages of Disney's sort of this acceptance, the fact don't judge a book by its cover. No one's better than anyone else, and no one's in a position where they should look down on anyone. He was brought down and stripped back to being this person who no one knew, and he sort of rebuilt himself in the sense of being, instead of this arrogant, cocky rookie, he turned into this humble, helpful, genuine character, which we then grow to love because of the relationships he develops with those on Route 66. Genuinely funny moments involving Mater. Probably nothing else in the film's that funny, but when Mater's involved, there's some sort of smile or laughter that goes on because he's just completely mental and out there. It's nicely developed, beginning, middle and end, the different acts, the acts, Act 1, Act 2, and build up to the Act 3, the final act is really nice, because it's sort of the messages and the lessons he learns from Act 1, then develop into Act 2, and then that relationship with Doc Hudson it sort of develops, and with Sally as well, and then finally seeing that big race and him being this close to winning, sort of that moving moment where he sort of thinks back to what happens to Doc Hudson and saves the king, or so not saves him, but lets Chuck win, is a genuinely moving moment. Whether you're 40, whether you're 14, it's nice to see the full character development.
Satisfaction.
Yeah, there is that satisfaction, but actually, yeah, he has learned lessons, and yeah, he has gone along the way, and it does mean something to him. So it's nice to see that character development. Messages resonate with audiences. I've already talked about that. I've talked about acceptance and this idea that no one's above anyone else, and sort of accepting people for who they are and helping people for who they are as well. The race sequences are actually entertaining. Like the start race sequence,
which seems like it'd be a no-brainer.
Yeah.
But imagine if they did.
But with NASCAR, the going around in one big circle. To us, that's not that entertaining. But they've actually made these sequences where it is, where Lightning McQueen's behind, or he has to get through something, or obstacles in the way, or even leading and pressing on. It was just genuinely entertaining. And then finally, the soundtrack of Cars is sensational. Really, really good. I mean, you got Life is a Highway for the one, which is the standout of it. Beautiful. I know you probably disagree, but to match it, to go with the film, to go with the story, and to go with everything that's going on, brilliant. Route 66, Chuck Berry, fantastic. Real Gone, Sheryl Crow, beautiful. Shaboom, life could be true. Oh, I love it, brilliant. As they're bouncing along the road, it's so good. The soundtrack just goes brilliantly with the film. Yeah, I love Cars. I've always loved Cars. It's so very good. The other two films are tosh. But yeah, first one, absolutely top draw, in my opinion.
Yeah, I never watched Cars until I was an adult, so I never.
Really?
Yeah, so I don't have the same affection for it as you do, but I can appreciate it's a good film.
I think it was like even down to like the slight age difference.
Yeah,
but that's what happens with a lot of the Disney films, like, because you'll literally be like, in the moment where it hits, a certain film gets released, that's the one that hits.
Yeah.
And then you're gone. Because other than that, it's like when you're little and you're absorbing it because it's what everyone thinks you should watch.
Yeah.
But then there's usually one around that sort of time, which I'm imagining it probably was for you, where it was just that chance luck where it hit at the right time, because otherwise you might not have paid a bit of attention.
But yeah,
it was probably really good at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember the year it came out.
Yeah,
shame
I'm
on
pretty
me.
sure I must have been in like year 7 or 8.
Yeah, well, if that's the case, I was in year 4.
It's kind of makes sense.
That makes sense.
Right.
But even to be fair, even watching it as an adult, I still appreciate it. Probably because the love I had for it when it first came out and I first watched it.
Yeah, I've done that with most like Disney films though, because so many of them, even some of the ones where it's like people are like, oh, you should have watched this, or how have you not watched this? Like random ones might have caught over the years, but obviously wasn't that invested. So many of them I've watched within the last 5 to 10 years or something.
Right. And again, another shorter video. I feel like we've done well to fit everything that we need to fit in there, to be honest. Anything anyone wants to add? Any honourable mentions or anything? Talk about Disney films?
There is one that I hadn't watched as a kid and watched as an adult and thought, this is one of my favourite, funniest Disney films I've seen, and it's Emperor's New Groove. I don't know if...
I need to rewatch that. I watched it as a kid and I don't think I appreciated it.
Yeah, it's one of those where I've watched it when I was young and I've not took anything in, and then I've no recollection.
I thought it was so funny. Even I never watched it as a kid, so I don't have any nostalgia towards it or anything. And there's just so many jokes. It's just slapstick sort of humour that works so well with the film. I don't know.
There's ones like that that just get sort of missed by, but not. There's obviously some of the more sort of like funny. I know they're all cartoons, but like cartoonier sort of ones, and then you've got even then some of your more sort of adventure-based ones. You've got Atlantis. Always gets
Atlantis and Treasure Planet. My God.
I'm so happy you said Treasure Planet. To be honest, I'm surprised that's not in there as well.
Yeah.
Oh.
Sorry, yeah, they should definitely be a big honourable.
Hold on, I'm putting it as a tie. Treasure Planet's going down. I love Treasure Planet so much.
We sat and watched them not that long ago, didn't we? And I was like, why did I not pay attention to these as much as a kid? I mean, Atlantis, I was probably a little bit too young then to really get what was going on anyway, because that's quite heavy, really, like what's going on in that. And then Treasure Planet, I can remember that a lot more vividly. But then watching it again now, and it was,
I watched it.
It was just nuts.
It's
like,
watch
what's
Treasure
going on?
Okay.
It's just so cool.
I completely agree
Like
with James.
taking Treasure Island and just, you know what, let's just throw it in space, why not?
Oh, I'm so
it's the different
like,
like steps in animation they use, like they try different things. Whereas I think you do see that less and less now. Whereas I know I mentioned it with, say, Tango and a few of the others, where you got these standout, recognisable styles. But in terms of what they'll do, like what they'll push the boundaries with, of like, oh, let's try this, like let's do this new technique, see what this is like. To base, but within good reason. It's not just for the sake of it. It's to actually tell a good story. Which is obviously what the heart of what they're trying to do.
Treasure
Treasure.
Genuinely, like, nostalgia going through my veins at the minute.
How much do you want to be Jim Hawkins as well when it's on that surfing thing? It's like, oh, I wish I was
It's
that
always
cool.
so
To be
good.
fair, I think Atlantis and Treasure Planet, but like I always remember it was when like the Disney films had come out. It's when Mackie used to do like good toys.
Yeah.
Like,
I remember having the Atlantis.
I'm so glad
not books.
when we do all of this.
I don't want to read.
Oh, I love that. Oh, that's brilliant. I like nostalgic little episode.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm surprised no one said Toy Story, to be fair. But
Nah.
It's obvious though, isn't it?
yeah,
But
I prefer Toy Story 3 is my favourite out of all.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That might be a topic for another video. Jesus.
Should we do a whole thing on Toy Story?
Oh,
I feel like we can.
God.
I don't hate it at all. I think it's great. Like, well, to be honest, I like all four of them. Don't mind them. I know everyone's gonna be like, the fourth one, but I quite enjoyed it for what it is. It's still a Toy Story film through.
It's basically that, and it's basically a standalone Toy Story.
Yeah, exactly.
because you just feel like it's necessary. It's a sequel to the trilogy.
I feel like as well, sometimes people need to stop. Oh, this is going off topic, but sorry. People need to stop associating, like, if Shrek 4, don't associate that with the previous three films.
Yeah.
Like Toy Story 4, don't associate that and you'll enjoy it a lot more for what it is.
They almost did that with Toy Story 3, they almost just missed that window, I felt. But because they did a good job on that, like such a good job on that, it did sort of work within it.
Yeah.
And it rounded off that little arc nicely. But because they've made a solid like finish to that certain arc, that's why Toy Story 4, I think that's why people didn't take to it as well.
Yeah, it didn't need
because
to.
it didn't need to. They just here's another story, continue that because they've rounded off the Andy thing.
Yeah.
And that's always the continuation with the other three. So I think that's why people don't
That was one
take
of
to
the
it.
points I was going to bring up. It's kind of like a rounding that off, really, is the sense that you've got. It's that passable sort of movie thing, which is across the board. It's not just Disney, but like, it's that battle between it didn't need to happen, but if you still make a good story, if you still make a worthwhile film, then okay, that's a good point.
Yeah.
But it feels like even with Disney movies, it's like, I think maybe the last sort of one that was sort of really hyped in the cinema before the pandemic was like Frozen 2, like the ones that were getting a big sort of notice, and then everything since has been like, obviously, oh, here's a film. So it's interesting now to see where something like Disney will go, because Disney literally own everything, but their own recognisable films that they come out with. It's always, as much as I'm not crazy invested in it, it's interesting and exciting to see what they might do, because of these ones that we've mentioned, of how good they've done it in the past. It's like, come on, do it again.
But it's like,
It was
to
like
be
they don't
fair,
be hitting the same thing at all, do they?
no, well, Moana was brilliant.
That was
Moana's brilliant, and they do release some good ones, but they don't. they don't promote them, they don't advertise them
They
as
just do.
much as I don't
They
think.
do
It's
just
like-
seem to shit them out as well at the minute.
well, they just seem to be like
every couple of months, like, oh, there's
yeah, exactly. But the only reason they're doing that is because of Disney Plus. If Disney Plus didn't exist, there would be more emphasis and focus on promoting it and going through it. But now it's like Disney Plus. There's a platform. There's a film. There's a film. There's a film. Oh, we've brought the rights to these, by the way. There's a film. Oh, it come out December 22nd, and we're releasing it. Yeah, there's a film.
Mhm.
You think, Jesus Christ, just calm down.
Yeah. I didn't even know Encanto was coming out until it came out.
Yeah.
People were talking about it.
Exactly.
So,
We've gone off on a tangent, so let's finish it there, shall we? Right. I was going to say anything we want to add, but we've already added quite a bit already to it.
Yeah.
Very nice.
I hope you enjoyed it. We enjoyed it, especially for nostalgic reasons. That was fantastic. I really enjoyed that.
Should we watch Treasure Planet tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm for it, 100%. Thank you for watching. Again, we appreciate all the support that you give us and any view that you give us. It's completely overwhelming and we appreciate it. Thank you very much. See you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
The Disney's fuck.
Yeah.